Yeah, welcome to the TBD podcast.
Yeah. Insert, we can just edit it in later.
Yeah, whatever the name's going to be.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to be talking about? So, movies, pop culture, yeah?
All of that.
Yeah.
I would say let's not pigeonhole ourselves.
No, yeah. TV, movies, whatever it's going to be.
We'll get off on some rants, too, sometimes about that stuff, so I don't want to inhibit our ability to just go to pop culture or something in general instead of strictly film, you know?
Yeah. And we've both been in film for a long time.
Uh-huh.
Worked on all types of different things. Tell us about your little ventures into New York, and
yeah,
you lived in LA for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some real life industry experience.
I would say it's industry adjacent.
Industry adjacent experience. Okay.
I wouldn't call it industry experience, but I'm definitely an enthusiast. I was a theater kid. So I really loved doing plays. That's really where it started. Film stuff, to be honest with you, it's not my favorite thing to make as far as like trying to act.
Yeah.
I'm not super good at it, but like I do enjoy every aspect of making something.
Yeah.
But I was doing plays and stuff, and then a friend of mine like independently made a pilot, and I ended up getting cast in it, which was cool. And I got to shoot it. We shot it at some real locations in the city, which was pretty awesome, but completely independent.
You shot that around?
Yeah, he did. And I don't think anything ever came of it, but it was sure as hell a lot of fun, and everybody in it was a lot of fun to hang out with. And for me, being like a super young dude, just getting the experience was pretty kick-ass. I've done a professional play before. It was a musical, which that was pretty cool, like an independent play. It wasn't like, oh, we're going to go do the, regional tour of Greece or whatever it was. It was like an actual legit, like, first time I was in the first cast.
Yeah, and you've done some extra work for films as well.
I did. That's right. I did Life of David Gale. That's specifically the one as far as, like, mainline Hollywood stuff. I got to at least see that, which was pretty interesting. I mean, that was like a big show. I mean, that was, tractor trailers everywhere, and it was wild.
Did you get more, ins in LA or New York? Which one was different as far as that industry is concerned?
You mean as far as like getting like contacts or foot in the door or anything?
Either one.
None really. I mean,
or as far as the independent work that you did, the interest that was there for that type of indie work.
Sure. Yeah. So like in New York, the indie work came just because my friends wrote it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then one of those guys directed it. And
were they involved in anything at the time, or no?
They just wanted to make something and make it legit. You know what I mean? Like try to make it as legit as possible, because it was like it was a good idea, and they wrote it, and it was very much based on the group of friends that we had and stuff like that. So for me, it was really just they were making it, and I showed up to the auditions. Not to audition, but to just hang out with them, and then we were going to go to the bar afterwards. Okay. And so that was kind of a thing, and they handed me the sides, and they were like, hey, do you mind reading with this person when they come in? And so I did that, and then, they kind of kept getting me to read with the people. And then at one point, it was like, hey, will you walk up there and just sort of, read with them? I was like, yeah, sure. And then they called me.
They secretly put on the record button as you walk up there.
I guess, yeah. But it was cool, and like, so they called me afterwards and was like, hey, man, would you be interested? So it was a fun experience. And then I did have a time where again, this is all like happenstance stuff. Like I've never had like, oh, well, I got this in because I networked with such and such. It never worked anything like that. Like I house sat once for a guy that created a TV show. I'm not going to say it on here, but a guy that created a TV show from the 80s. Pretty wealthy fella, but I house sat for him. I house sat for him a couple of times, and based on that, there was a script that me and a buddy and his sister had done. Him and his sister had done a draft, and then me and him, after when I moved to LA, we did a couple of drafts. So I just gave it to him just to see if he would read it, and he did. And he actually had us up there, gave us some notes on it, like some legit notes.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, and then somehow, I don't even remember how, I don't think it was through him. I feel like it was through my buddy or his sister, but we got a meeting with some guy that was like an agent, and that was pretty fun. He was a weird, kooky dude, but that was really it. I mean, I've never had any like legit experience, but I've been adjacent. I've been able to see big productions.
Have you been able to do more work in Texas than New York or LA? As far as just who you're surrounded with, and
well, it's always been like independent stuff. Like any stuff that I've done with you, any stuff that I did. The buddy that we wrote the drafts of that pilot, like he lived here, so we used to make stuff all the time, but it was very nothing. I mean, as far as like no budget, it was all creativity. But that was
what year are we talking?
Oh, you're talking late '90s, early 2000s, and then
different industry.
Yeah, it was 100% different, and this was kind of the very beginnings of being able to record something yourself and actually put it up and have like a platform for it. Like YouTube, whenever that was, like mid 2000s or something.
Right around there. Yeah.
So you never back then though you never thought that was going to be a thing. You know what I mean? Where you could actually get monetized and shit like that. That didn't happen back then.
I've got I guess somewhat similar type of background, just not to the levels of that.
You worked on some legit shows though, right?
Well, there was one. I got to work with a group out in Louisiana that was doing an M. Night Shyamalan produced flick, and I don't think I was even really supposed to be there. We kind of pushed our way in, and
that's how you do it, though.
Oh yeah. We made some auditions, but I think our audition tape got in a little too late. But we still went, and we didn't get to go in the first day. But a buddy of mine that was actually got pulled in for it, he needed pretty much someone to drive him since he's a disabled veteran. It was like a 4-hour drive twice a day kind of a thing for several months. So then I got kind of contracted in off of him based on that. So I got to kind of hang around and talk to the people who were, But I started in theater, did a lot of that and a lot of independent film, things like that, and music, stage, all that stuff. But
pretty much just me too. Just we played music for a minute too.
Just focusing kind of on just trying to put out indie pieces now and playing around with this podcast, toe in the water kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And looking forward to seeing where that can go.
Yeah, well, now is the time though, like where the whole industry, and whether it doesn't matter, it's just entertainment, whether it's music or whether it's movies, it's yet again like in complete flux where, the kind of like how Napster and file sharing in the early 2000s sort of just upended the music business. Yeah. Now like streaming and all that sort of stuff is really changing how the business goes. Also kind of like radio, where you've got corporate interests that are like kind of mopping up all the smaller things, and now it's like radio. It's mostly corporate radio.
Yeah.
Same thing with like movie studios. They used to just be movie studios, which that's, I guess, a corporation in and of itself. But you have these like megacorps now that are coming in and buying up these studios, and like Amazon bought MGM.
Yeah.
And who was it that bought Paramount? And then like Fox got bought up by Disney. So all of this
NBC
stuff
Universal,
is exactly. It's all consolidating, and it's like that's not really good as far as like creatives go. But now with all this stuff, you can independently finance a film now, and you can kind of do a distribution deal yourself.
It's all about maintaining interest. If you can get local people interested, and then if you can get regional people interested, you can make something off of an independent piece. And it's all just dependent on your communities and you as a person, how you market, where you market, and what you're willing to put into your own project. Because let's not lie to ourselves, indie projects are a money pit. You're not going to make money,
no question.
At least not quickly. You can maybe turn it around and make some merchandise off of it and fest that stuff out for years, and maybe you can turn a profit. But at that point, it's negligible,
I would say though that I think in the future you're gonna see a bigger appetite.
I sure hope so.
I think it's gonna be, because like the way it works now is everything's been mocked up, so you don't get like mid-budget, like original ideas anymore. It's all superhero movies, as far as like mainline Hollywood movies. It's all superhero movies or remakes or retreads, and it's like, I think people are getting to the point where it's like, the people are growing weary of that sort of stuff. You know, it's obviously it's movies by committee, so the creativity is gone. It's just it is what it is. It's just sort of a thing.
25 executive producers on one project who all have a say-so in what they want.
And all of the creatives now are, you know, in this day and age, 2024, it's like most of the big creatives are like, I'm not dealing with this. You know, I don't even want to do it. So I think that people are going to be able to find their niches. Kind of like music, too, though. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of people that put out music, but, you know, there's going to be niches because, I mean, like corporate radio. It's just only the same few songs, and that's what gets pushed, and then some suit is...
That's pretty relative to what we're going to be talking about a lot today, a little bit later on, but as to not ramble off a little bit, while we're talking about things that we've been critical of, what are some things that you really enjoy from film? Like, do you have a film that you could consider one of your all-time favorites, classics, anything that really sticks out? What was formative in the film industry for you?
It's hard for me to say that it's like a favorite because, like, the truth is, it's like, you know, trying to boil that down to like even 100 is really challenging. But for me, like coming up as a kid that was, I was exposed to a lot of movies from a super early age, and I really loved them. We had a video store close to my house, and you know, my dad would allow me. He would let me rent new movies, but he would also allow me to rent all of the old cheap movies as much as I wanted. So I was into, you know, a lot of like low budget 70s and 80s horror, but I also got exposed to all the mainstream movies too at the time. You know, you're talking about late 80s, early 90s, and into the mid 90s. So by the time I was like a teenager, you know, there were films like Big Lebowski and like real acting pieces that were really interesting and well made, you know, really interestingly shot too, like the Coens, and that's not even like it's anything nuts that they do, but it's just like how that movie is presented. Even if it's not your bag, I think like you can't deny that that's like a really well made movie.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, a few that just pop off randomly in my head, Frankenstein Unbound by Roger Corman in 1991.
Oh yeah,
I consider that a work of art, but it's very under the radar. Not a lot of people have seen that film. You've got Raul Julia, you've got John Hurt.
Raul Julia and John
Hurt. It's a great film. And The Wizard of Oz, I grew up watching that a lot, and that was pretty ahead of its time.
Purple Rain.
Oh, Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown rules. That's another movie.
A great one.
You don't need a bunch of special effects or anything. That's just like a well-written piece. It's a well-acted piece, and it's a well-shot piece.
And as kind of like a sway away from what Tarantino usually does, even though this was an earlier thing, but you know, a lot of its things are usually narrative-driven, and I find that movie is a little bit more on the opposite side. You could probably watch that on mute and get what's going on. It's
Elmore Leonard, right? Is that who the what he adapted it from?
Sounds right. Let's see.
That may be nonsense, but I want to say it's Elmore Leonard.
Looks like Rum Punch book by Elmore Leonard, Jackie Brown. Yeah.
It's such a good movie. That's a great one to bring up too, because it's not even like I'm anti special effects movies or anything like that. I love a great like huge popcorn film.
Oh yeah,
I really do. Just these days, you know, you kind of get. That's sort of all you're really getting out of like mainline Hollywood. So you have to kind of look elsewhere. And like this is what I was saying earlier. It's like the streaming platforms where if you can get a movie independently produced and you can make it decent enough, there are opportunities to get distribution, whether it's, you know, via Amazon or whatever.
You've got some companies that are really into that idea that have finally gotten some money and momentum behind them, like the A24s and the now the brought back Hammer horror film.
Dude, I think we're on the verge, man. It might take a couple more years.
Shout Factory is a great distributor of all types of things like that.
Yeah, that's the future, dude.
As far as modern, is there anything in the last 15 years that you've really enjoyed? I know I've really liked Ready Player One. That's a big budget thing that I fell in love with.
Yep.
The Holdovers recently was an excellent film.
Holdovers is great.
I mean,
that's a great
there's
one.
a few out there, but I think they're kind of few and far between.
Man, I like pretty much most of Chris Nolan's movies in the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
Are, really awesome, like, pretty unique ideas that were well executed, and it had, like, a pretty big budget. Those are really good. I'm trying to think of some other... Holdovers really, like, kind of captured my imagination a little bit. I went into it with not necessarily the highest.
Absolutely.
I love Alexander Payne, but I was like way.
I wasn't really sure what I was getting into because the trailer doesn't depict what the movie is.
It does not.
And me and my wife were sitting around looking for something on TV, and I pulled up that trailer, and she went to the restroom, and I had it on when she came back, and we weren't really sure what we were getting into, but how the early parts of that film were shot, it made it look like it was shot on a camera in the 70s. It looked like it was on film stock. It looked like the same technology. They were wearing the same clothes. They were acting the same way that you would in the 70s, and that's kind of what drew me in, and then the writing hooked me. And I'd watch that movie over again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. That's a great one. I'm glad you mentioned that because I wouldn't have thought of that one. Just like off the top of my mind, it was like Interstellar, like Inception or something.
Great films, yeah. I just watched the Pope's Exorcist, and that was if you like kind of like action horror, that was fun.
Who's that? That's Russell Crowe?
Yeah, right? Russell Crowe is in that. Instead of fighting around the world on a sailboat, he's fighting around the world on the backs of demons and exorcists in the name of the Pope.
He's been in a couple of movies, right? Like recently, that's like
it seems like he's
demon
having
possession or something.
Kind of like a renaissance in his old age, kind of switching into a different character. But I find him more palatable.
Yeah.
No,
that's cool because he's kind of like old man Russell Crowe. Yeah. Like, and he's not really like trying to be. He's not trying to stay jacked or anything like that. Like, I mean, he kind of just like, I'm going to take old man roles now.
Yeah.
And in a great way. I mean,
it works. He's
aging
gracefully aging. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we've talked about all that, our backgrounds, what we like and we dislike. Now let's get back to the topic that we briefly touched on earlier, and that is the auteurism of film and kind of self-producing and putting something out there. And what we're going to be reviewing today, Megalopolis by Francis Ford Coppola. And every time I say that, I can't help but think of Fritz von Lang's Metropolis, which seems like it shares some themes. I don't know if there's any concrete links in Coppola's mind to what he was doing, if there's any links to that film, but it strikes me as something that's quite similar. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I would say so, and I tried my best to fly blind.
And just to let everyone, we have not seen the film yet.
Right.
Here in a minute, we're going to take a trip in our time machine, and we'll be back after seeing the film, and we'll talk about what we liked and didn't like. But we're kind of just going through our expectations of what is this thing gonna be, because there's a lot of rigmarole in the news cycles about it. Either people loved it, people hated it, or people just didn't get it.
I think to start, that's a good thing. That's like a good piece of art. That's usually the way it should be. If everybody just universally likes it, it's kind of like, or at least critically, I mean, like if they all like it, I'm automatically suspect. But I think that means that it probably has a lot more substance to it too than, if it's super easy and just popcorn movie, you don't have to really think that hard to get it, you know what I mean? And this seems like, and I'm going by the trailer only that I've seen. I've tried my best. I've heard some negative reviews and some positive reviews.
Same here.
But I've tried to stay away from any spoilers because I didn't want to go into it like with any bias either way.
Absolutely.
I want to let it happen to me, and I want to really like go on the ride and see how it does. But yeah, it looks like to me it's has kind of science fiction type elements to it, but also
very much so.
A message on society and that kind of stuff too. So I'm interested to see,
almost like a vision of what a future city could be is kind of what the idea I'm getting with it. But it seems like there's some supernatural sci-fi elements that go on.
Yeah,
and because it's a trailer, that might not be the case.
Right.
Right. it's captivated me, and I really want to see it. I like Adam Driver. I like Francis Ford Coppola. He's a Roger Corman student. I think I'm going to enjoy it, at least from a visual perspective, because it looks amazing just visually, and you're going to expect that going into a Coppola film. I don't know who's the cinematographer on that.
I'm not sure, but he did independently fund this, right? It's like his
I
money,
believe
and
so,
then
and he's been working
investors.
on this. Yeah, and he's been trying to get this made for 30-odd years.
Well, the one thing I will say, too, that I'm actually really excited about while you're looking that up, I did see this one little clip from Adam Driver, who I like a lot, and he was saying, he was like, it's one of the best experiences on set he's ever had.
Really?
Because there were not any corporate suits at all there. It was just Francis doing his thing.
That's cool.
That's the thing for me, too. I'm not 100% sure if I'm really going to be into it or not, to be honest. But I'm so hungry for, just an original idea that, I can actually go in and take in and I'm going to enjoy that experience regardless. And I think that, especially a lot of these independently financed movies that are outside the Hollywood system, when they do get theatrical runs, I think, it's really important to go see it regardless. It's like you need to go vote with your dollars on that, because the more people will go see these movies and the more successful they are, the more we'll get legit theatrical runs. You know what I mean? And that's just more and more independent cinema that are real ideas.
Go see movies in the theaters.
Yeah.
Go consume as much of this as you can. Even if it is big studio things, that still helps the industry at large.
Yeah, and I'm definitely not shitting on mainline, mainstream Hollywood either, for sure. Corporate movies are going to be what they're going to be.
Yes. Too many cooks, not enough kitchens.
Yeah, you want to support those creatives as best you can. That's important, and that's how people will keep getting opportunities.
So this cinematographer, I'm going to butcher this name. I don't think I've ever heard this name spoken aloud. Is it Mihai Malamer Jr.?
I'd say that's as good of a stab at any. If this person ever hears this, which is unlikely, we apologize.
I'm
if we butchered your name.
Honestly not familiar with any of their work that I can see. They've done Sleepless in 2017, Jojo Rabbit 2019, The Harder They Fall in 2021, November Criminals in 2017.
So a lot of
The Master in 2012, Twixt in 2011. I don't know.
So he's worked with Coppola before there too. I see.
Oh,
Tetro.
Look, Tetro. Look there. Okay, cinematographer for Tetro. Okay.
And I will say too, in that interview that I sent you, there is a couple of people. He might even be talking about this guy. Maybe not. It might be somebody else. But he was talking about how he hired someone on these indie films, the mid-2000s indie films, as students. When they were still students or whatever, and
I love
he now
that.
Still works with them.
That seems very
Corman-esque.
Corman-esque,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's time to take a trip in the time machine. I'm excited about this.
Fire it up.
All right. Well, here we go. In the machine. And we're back. We are in the future, and we have seen Megalopolis.
Time stopped. For us.
Time stopped for us.
Yes.
Not for you guys, because we're still here.
We picked up this skill.
Absolutely.
along the way.
Thank you, Adam Driver, for teaching us this technique that didn't really do much for anybody. Okay, so what did we think?
Please.
I liked it. I think that it was more Shakespearean than I anticipated it being.
Yes.
That kind of threw me off a bit, but I grasped it after, getting used to it. I don't know if it met my expectation, though. I think I was looking for something a bit more Coppola-esque, and if you would have shown me this without telling me his name was on it, I probably wouldn't have guessed. It seems like he's kind of got an entirely new style as opposed to what he's been famous for.
Yeah.
But I think it was good. It meandered a bit. There's some plot points that I think could have been scraped up a bit.
Are we doing spoilers? Or are we trying to keep it spoiler-free?
We could probably do spoilers.
Okay.
This probably
So spoiler warning. Just if
spoiler
you're gonna,
warning. Yeah. So this will probably be out long after
the movie's
long
out.
after the
Okay,
movie's
yeah.
even
So,
out,
but definitely spoiler alert if you haven't
Yeah.
seen it. Go watch it now.
I don't know, man. What's your biggest takeaway?
I actually liked it more than I thought I would.
Yeah.
I think everything that you said was pretty spot on. It was a very disjointed movie at times, and I don't even mean necessarily. Well, I guess in story sometimes too. Like sometimes transitions happened where I felt like I was kind of lost, and it would take a minute to get back into the film. It definitely was, Shakespearean, and it takes place in kind of an alternate reality, I would guess. They call it New Rome. It's New York City, obviously, and it's that represents the.
It's a very, very Roman.
It's like a parallel to the Roman Empire.
Yes.
The late stage of the Roman Empire, where things are crumbling, and the lifestyles are decadent, and there's bankers, and there's it's that whole thing. Obviously, the parallel to today or whatever, and it was really. I appreciated that part of it, and I was interested in that, so that made it interesting. Just during the scenes, there was a lot of scenes where they would speak Shakespearean, and then they would sort of go out of it, sort of into regular, modern dialogue. So it kind of confused me at times. The design of the movie was also, and it was cool. I'm not hating on it.
Visually stunning. I mean, I thought it looked beautiful. I don't think the trailer's visuals really gave it justice, because whenever I was watching the trailers, I thought, well, this CG looks weird. It doesn't. It looks strange. But seeing it on the big screen, it looked amazing.
It looked great.
It looked fantastic.
It was style choices. It looked fantastic. But like an example would be like there was really high like futuristic technology that they had there, while at the same exact time they would be using like cameras with the the old school flashers, like it was 1922. Yeah, and I would understand if it was like a specific time period also mixed with like high technology and stuff. I could get that kind of feel, but it seemed like it was just really all over the place, and sometimes I would get a little bit like taken out of it. It'd be a 30 style camera, but then the next time they're in a car and it's like a 90 style radio, and then there's also literally this holographic projectors and all this other kind of stuff. So that to me was sometimes a little bit jarring, and it would just pull me out of it. Same thing with the accents, and then all that stuff was just it would take me a minute to get back into it.
Yeah. While I thought so much of it was really good and really fascinating, there were things that pulled me out. It seemed like there would be points where it would go to an actor and it would be shot a certain way. Then it would go to a different actor and it would be a completely different style and setup. Specifically with like Aubrey Plaza, it would be almost as if they were using a completely different camera on her than they were using for everybody else.
Yeah. And I like her too, but her
I love
performance
her.
was also kind of like
cheeky,
an oddball out in the movie. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel like it kind of.
And I see why they would shoot her different to try and kind of get that point across. It just kind of pulled me out. It was weird.
Yeah, I think this movie would have probably done it a lot of good if they would have maybe let an outside editor take a pass through the movie. I thought that there was probably, there's a lot that could have been trimmed up. It was really decadent in that respect. It's like these sequences would be really long and drawn out. The scenes would be kind of drawn out at times, and then there would be an abrupt, crash cut to something else, and you'd have to kind of get that. A good editor, and then also maybe
could cut some of that down.
Yeah, and just smooth it out a little bit, and then also, like script-wise, maybe bring in a really ace writer to just do a final pass. Coppola wrote the script, and the story was good. It was like, but I think it could have used a really good smooth overpass from somebody. Yeah. And that would have probably solved a lot of the problems.
To just kind of filter out his ideas a little bit.
Yeah.
Because there was excessiveness to some of the scenes to where they could have got to the point a little bit quicker. And I understand as a director the want to kind of build some of that suspense, and to
absolutely,
if you have a certain scene in your head that you want to execute, you might sacrifice a little bit of the story for some of that visual pleasure. And I don't think it's always a bad thing. I just think for this particular thing, the film was so long as it is.
Yeah.
So, some of it could have been cut back.
There were multiple sequences that, like, to me went way long.
Yeah.
That
all of the acting I thought was really good.
Yeah.
There was a specific character where one scene their performance would be spot on and great, and the very next scene it would be cardboard and two-dimensional, and I don't understand if that was a creative choice or
it also could have been
lack of the actor not being able to fully digest the dialogue.
Yeah. And it also could have been that they were doing the best with what was on the page too. I don't know that, but it could have been any of those things.
I'd definitely see this again, but I would need weeks, even months, to kind of digest it and think about it before I'd want to give it another shot.
Well,
and I left with positive thoughts on it. And, I think it was a good movie. I don't regret seeing it, and I would love to see Coppola do more things like this.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it more than I expected to. And I mean, I don't want it to sound like I had low expectations. I just walked in kind of figuring, it's probably not going to be my bag. But I was actually, it exceeded my expectations in that respect.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that I agree, I would like to wait a few weeks or months and then watch it again, because I know there's a bunch of stuff that I missed. Number one, sometimes it'll go from being slow to coming at you insanely fast, so the pacing of it can be kind of weird sometimes. And then also, I know, just the little things that we were talking about that would kind of pull me out of it. I know there's probably stuff that I missed just because it would take me a few minutes to get back into it.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely a film that would need multiple views to have a greater appreciation of what's all there, because there's a lot.
But Adam Driver, always good, though. Like
Dustin Hoffman was great.
Dustin
John
Hoffman,
Voight.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I was happy to see him in something where, he goes balls out, obviously.
He's very much that Shakespearean kind of fucked up brother.
Yeah, he's kind of I don't recall. It's like the Tybalt or the kind of the evil character that's just going to kind of. I wish they would have fleshed out his motivations a lot more. I would have been a little more into it with him being, because the performance is big and the character's kind of big, which is fine. In the movie, I feel like it's fine. It works. You can kind of be big in this. It's kind of Shakespearean. It's almost like theatrical, like it's a like it's a play or something almost at times. And in that respect, it's good. But I would have liked to have known like why his character is so just hell bent on going after Adam Driver's character.
And it does seem like there were a few, not many, but a few plot points I would have liked a little bit more elaboration on.
Yeah.
His mother's character, played by Talia Shire, who is great.
And she's got a couple of scenes in it, too, so they make her a significant enough character.
But it doesn't really explain why...
Yeah, it leaves you kind of hanging on a lot of that stuff.
Why they hate each other at first, and then why they're so affectionate later, and then why she's just a mysterious stranger in the crowd at the end, and... I would have liked a little bit more elaboration on that for sure.
But she has like a couple of scenes. They paint her like she's going to be a major character, at least a major supporting character. And they just don't really pay off anything, and they kind of just don't really explain it. Yeah. It's like, okay, like.
Can you tell me what occupation Dustin Hoffman's character had?
I don't know. He seemed like he was either.
Is it just mogul?
Another banker or mogul, or maybe it almost
architect or something.
Well, it almost even seemed like he was like the guy within the organization that might have been the fixer. You know what I mean? Like, because he gets kind of sent off to off that one character, and then that's another one where like. They set him up like he's kind of a pretty heavy duty supporting character, and they unceremoniously like kill him in like two frames.
Really random kill off.
Yeah, and they don't like he goes off on a mission,
and then it's done.
Well, yeah, it like you send him off on the mission, and then you think like, oh, okay, well, there's going to be a follow up to this, and we're going to see what happens to him.
It's 3 seconds of a cutaway.
They just happen to be like, oh yeah, he's dead, and then it's like, and then it's like columns falling on him, and that's what it's like. Yeah, it's like okay, sorry, Dustin Hoffman, like it's like. Kind of did my boy dirty there a little bit.
And then so I liked the plot twist where we find out that Adam Driver's a bad guy at first. You know, he's stealing up all of these people's homes to develop this new piece of land.
That son of a bitch.
And, you know, but then we find out later he saw the future. He saw this satellite was going to crash there and it was going to kill all these people. So he saved all these lives and started the reconstruction plans before there was ever the destruction. And that was a pretty neat little plot point. But other than that, there was no consequence to any of his powers. There was no elaboration really on, there's no importance, I guess, of his powers other than that one little part that they didn't even really expand that much on.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, and it kind of left you wondering because, like, there's also the kind of, I guess it's the MacGuffin, you know, or whatever. It's the Megalon or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like this substance that he created or whatever.
Maybe it was from space. They had a little line in there.
Yeah, something. And it's something I probably missed. You know, it was probably like a line of dialogue that I missed or something. But, like, that was, you know, the material that he could build this new city out of, which is fine, whatever. But I never really got the idea of what that was, and I thought it was going to tie in at some point.
Adamantium of some sort.
Yeah, space adamantium that, like, what, and that's fine. But I thought it would have worked itself into having something to do with his ability to stop time or whatever.
Well, it did save him from a bullet to the eye.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. You think that book would have been thick enough to stop that bullet? Went straight through it.
Yeah.
Bastards.
Fucking bastards.
This is why you don't let kids out at night.
Yeah. Don't ever sign an autograph for a
Never
little kid.
Be nice to
night.
strange children.
Yeah.
Strange children will shoot you in the face. What'd you think about the cinematography, the directing, just the visual aspect of the entire film? Because I was pretty awestruck by it. It didn't have a lot of the Copeland trademark look, but I thought it was a really good visual. And we went over briefly the cinematographer that worked on this film, who was also in Tetro. He worked on Tetro, right?
Yes.
I thought he did a great job. And I am vamping, so I can pull up his name.
Well, I can tell you while you're looking him up.
Mihai Malamer Jr. That guy. He's got some talent.
Yeah.
Sorry about the mispronunciation if I am doing so.
Yeah. No, it looked great. It really did. I thought everything about it. The directing I thought was decent, but I thought it was just like overly indulgent.
Yeah.
There were just a lot of sequences that were badass. They looked visually awesome, but they just they dragged on for so long, and it was like, man, we could have it's totally gotten it across in a tenth of that time.
It's directing, at the cost of plot.
Yeah, I mean he self-funded this or raised the money,
and it's his his little baby.
Yeah, why not do what you want to do? So I can even appreciate that. Just
absolutely.
As a viewer, I just thought some of that stuff dragged on.
I'm guilty of that too. In a lot of my films, there's scenes that have no fucking point other than to be like, oh, look at this shot.
Yeah.
Isn't that a cool looking shot?
Yeah, and it was cool. I just thought it was a little bit, probably, I would say, overindulgent.
Yeah. As far as the casting goes, did anyone seem miscast to you?
Not necessarily. No? I think some of the performances were, not very consistent. There's a couple. And there's a few of them that are really great.
Absolutely.
I think there was a lot of old guard dudes as well. Like, John Voight was in it, and Dustin Hoffman obviously was in it. There was a lot of that, and you had like Jason Schwartzman in there. You had a lot of like really legit actors that were playing smaller roles too, which was pretty cool. It was nice, and you could tell that they were really, going for it, and it was a collaboration. It was like an open and free collaboration. For better or for worse.
Really, the only inconsistency as an actor that I saw was that Natalie Emmanuel played Julia Cicero, and while there were some fantastic moments with her in that movie, the scene where she's walking, they're doing the mayor's parade, and she's talking to her father. I don't know what happened there, but that was not the best performance. Just before that, she had an amazing scene, and throughout the film, she had so many acting performances. And then there's this one just terrible line of exchange that I don't know, it seems so out of place.
Yeah. No, and I thought Aubrey Plaza, I thought she did good. I thought she did her thing.
Wow, platinum.
I just really felt that it felt out of place to me a lot. Like anytime I would see her, it felt really, they were all overly stylized scenes, and that's not her fault. That's just kind of the direction they went with it. But to me, it felt kind of out of place at times.
Yeah. Lawrence Fishburne was
I forgot about Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, and he's awesome.
Yeah.
He does the narration, which that's always a
great voice,
a home run. Yeah, his voice is the best.
Yeah, loved his character.
Yeah. So I thought overall like the acting was good. They were.
Oh yeah.
You got a bunch of really legit people that are they come to play pretty much every film. There's a lot of those movies. Even like Lawrence Fishburne. There's a ton of his movies that I don't really care for, but he always rules in it.
I really thought that this was going to be kind of more of a new and fresh concept, loosely based on some classical ideas, and it turned out to be very much a classical narrative.
Yeah.
Just changed up a bit for the modern audience. It's an age-old tale of political poison and romance and the intertwining webs of business and dark relations and family ties, all that kind of stuff.
It's all late-stage empire corruption.
Absolutely.
And, it was like, it's very, like, it's paralleled, obviously, to today. Obviously, it's a fictional...
And as you were saying earlier, if he was able to get this made whenever he originally wanted to, it probably wouldn't have been as well received, or rather, it wouldn't have been as topical as it is today because of just the state of things. In general.
A lot of those themes are present today, and so like I'm guessing obviously in later drafts of the script, it is pretty parallel, but it's the exact story. It's the fall of the Roman Empire, just sort of as a metaphor or whatever for in today's times, but it's very much the pomp, all the late stage empire stuff is there with the Shia LaBeouf character, with the
melodrama,
the evil rich kid that's that hates his cousin or whatever and is gonna try to tear his shit down at all costs or whatever. And then the guy, of course, then ended up seeing the future, so he is villainized until you realize he's a hero.
Yeah. So if you were the creative in charge, say this did go through a studio, and you were the executive producer from the studio that was put there to filter Coppola's ideas, how would this film have looked different? How would it have played out any different? Are there any people you would have cast as a different character? Just general thoughts.
Like I'm a fictional studio producer.
Absolutely, yes. How would this have looked differently if you were Coppola's wrangler? We'll put it that way.
I would honestly, I would never have that job because I get fired. But because the only
in this world of fiction,
the only things like I would never tell a director as far as casting and shit goes. I don't think that's a good thing to do. And I understand that, like, obviously business wise, like obviously you want certain actors that are going to draw people. I totally understand all that, but
that's one of the things that's inherently wrong with the industry today.
It's hard because like you're really taking a chunk out of somebody's vision when they can't like really they have these people in mind, or when they audition or whatever. I would have told him basically you need to trim some of the fat, and you need to either do another pass through the script. I would have wanted another pass through the script before he started shooting. I wouldn't have. It's like, clean some of this up. Here's some spots that are that are kind of clunky that really you want to smooth out. Or I would have recommended that he got like a really ace writer. You know what I mean? Like somebody that's like a real legit Hollywood writer to just make a pass, like a polished pass through it. I wouldn't have wanted him to change anything. I would have wanted him to do what he did, but like. A lot of those sequences tighten them up. You probably could have cut 25 minutes from this movie with no problems.
Easily 10.
With zero problems. Like, it wouldn't have changed anything. It just would have tightened some stuff up.
Yeah.
I think most of the stuff that I would criticize of the movie, most of it would be cleaned up with just that. Like, I wouldn't want to... The look of it, even though I didn't really love the way they would kind of, it was all over the place with kind of everything. You know, it was like the timelines. It'd be a 40s train, but 3100.
Some of the design
yeah, it was just
aspects.
like I thought that was a little bit whatever for my taste, but I wouldn't ask
Now,
anyone to
I
change
understand
that.
the idea of putting it in a fictional timeline in a fictional place that kind
And
of
it's fluid, but it was like they. You know, it was a little bit jarring when it'd be like, oh, okay, well, they've got the guy with the press hat, and he's like, oh, hey, I'm going to take some pictures of you, you see? And then the next thing, it was like a 90s radio, and then it was like a 20s train, and then, you know, it was just kind of always, it always left me wondering, and it didn't, it would pull me out.
Absolutely. And I feel like as cliche as this might be, I feel like a Wes Anderson style setup for each of the characters to open the film, with Lawrence Fishburne narrating kind of their backgrounds and why their styles and aspirations are so different, could have helped some of the jarring switches that we had throughout there, where it would just kind of shift in style and
That's a great
technology so
idea.
quickly.
Yeah. You're talking about like kind of like at the beginning of the Royal Tenenbaums or whatever,
Yes,
where it just gives
absolutely.
you just a brief setup to where, you know, because I do agree, it does kind of do that, kind of just throws you in there.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. It will take subsequent watches, because, like, it took me a while to figure out who everybody was and, like, why they were even interacting. It did kind of throw you into it like that, definitely.
They're
Like,
all cousins.
yeah, but it wouldn't take nothing, you know. 20 seconds per person, you know,
Absolutely.
would have been fine. Just enough to set it up to, like, let me know who it is, and then let me take it from there.
And I know that's not really Coppola's style, but he was leaning into that type of format, using the almost like the stone cue cards of the Roman Empire to kind of set up each chapter.
Yeah.
You could have even done it kind of like that.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think that would have helped a lot.
Okay, so overall thoughts and opinions, score of 1 to 10.
It's tough because my knee jerk is to give it like a 5, but I feel like that might be a little too harsh.
Yeah, come on, man. Give him some love.
Yeah, I mean, I did like it, you know, overall. So maybe I would give it a 6.5.
Yeah. I was thinking a 7.1.
Okay. Yeah, but it definitely, I really kind of...
And really what saves it is just how beautiful it looks.
It was great.
And how, you know...
And I thought it was well thought out, too.
Absolutely.
Even though, like, the theme and stuff of it kind of being a parallel to ancient Rome, I was cool with that. I'm totally fine with all that. And that's, you know, it's very topical, and it is, you know, it was interesting. So it definitely wasn't boring, you know, in that some of the sequences were a little decadent and long, but, like, it never was, like, boring. I wasn't... it definitely... I came out of it liking it more than I expected, for sure. So I can live with that, you know what I mean? Like, and I got to support a dude that's working outside the studio system. And I'm not shitting on the studio system necessarily, but the more independent cinema I think that can be made, the better. You know what I mean? That's really where your next level ideas, you know, are going to come from. You know, like real original stuff that somebody has the nuts to take a swing at. You know, that's important. I think that's like, people should be encouraged to support independent cinema.
Absolutely, there should be more of that. Despite you know, it being a multi-million-dollar film, that is very much an independently financed and released project, and there should be more people willing to go see films like that, because I mean, as it stands right now, the film is not doing good at the box office, and it might not even reach black for years to come.
Sure.
Before it might get a good chunk of change off some streaming deals.
I hope so.
But, you know, I encourage as many people, you know, that can go to the theaters, see these movies, because it's
it's a $120 million independent movie.
Yeah.
So that's important, because like that, think about that. I mean, you know, it's not just those people that are trying to get 5 million or 10 million. It's like there are rich people that will invest, you know, and it's like, I would rather a $120 million original, you know, piece like this.
Yeah.
That was an artist's thought. You know, I would rather more of that than just all CGI fest superhero movies that are kind of just meant to try to please everyone and pleases no one.
And
you know,
and I'll be clear that there are a lot of the superhero big franchise CGI fest films that I do enjoy.
100%.
But the quantity that we're getting them, and the amount of creative minds that are allowed to influence the project has become a bit much.
Yeah. No, there's definitely they've got hits. There's just there was a time where all of those superhero movies were hits, and now there's a lot of misses too.
Hire great writer, producer, directors to come in, man the project, and have as little producers throwing in input as possible.
Yeah.
To get some of these, fan bases back.
Yeah. And I would argue creatives, because there's plenty of them. But there's plenty of creatives that love the source material, too.
A conversation for another day.
Absolutely. 100%.
So from 6.5 and 7.1, our scores an average of 6.8 for Megalopolis. Excellent. That's official.
Yeah.
Megalopolis is a 6.8 out of 10.
And props to Francis Ford Coppola for taking a fucking swing and having some nuts.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Gotta love it.
What do you think is next for Copeland? You mentioned that you saw that he got something else that he's working on.
I saw some interview that said he had some other movie that he was working on. I'm assuming it's either something he adapted or something he wrote himself.
Yeah.
But he's working on it. He didn't say it was in production or anything like that. And with raising this money independently and all that stuff, it might just be in the fledgling stages. You know what I mean? Where you got to kind of figure all that stuff out. That takes a lot longer when you don't have big corporate money. So hopefully he will be encouraged to make another film because he's not getting younger either. So I'd love to see one more Coppola before he closes it out. But I do respect that he kept putting out movies even after he, air quotes, retired, from studio movies.
Yeah.
So good on him. And he's, stretching his artistic skill. So, you got to appreciate that.
Yeah. Do you think this is going to help boost any of these careers? I mean, Aubrey Plaza has now been in several big productions. She's at Agatha All Along right now on Disney, and I've really enjoyed that show so far. I think she's a really good character, and she's in this movie. She's in a bunch of big stuff. She's blowing up.
Yeah, and she's done a bunch of indie movies too, which is also awesome.
It's a far cry from where she was at Parks and Recreation days.
Yeah. But she's made a bunch of those like kind of low budget indie films that are really good too. So I don't think it hurts. I mean, I get this is going to be probably mixed reviews, obviously all the way down. But I think overall, if I'm Aubrey Plaza or any of those actors, I take a chance to work on this project any day.
100%.
Like there wouldn't even have been I wouldn't have even read the script.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, anything else coming up in the theaters on streaming that we're looking forward to seeing, and what's next for us to review on this podcast? What are our plans going forward? Because a lot of content to watch and to review.
Yeah, there's a million, and we can go a million different ways. So I mean, there's like I would love to see Longlegs. That movie went nuts at the box office for being a super indie. And I heard it's great. I don't know. I haven't seen it. And I've tried to stay away from a lot of stuff. I'm trying to go into them as blind as humanly possible. But that one would be good. But like Deadpool and Wolverine, I want to say it's coming out today.
Okay. I haven't seen it yet.
For streaming. And then there's...
And you went and saw that twice in the theaters, right?
I did. My wife loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I need to see it, so...
Yeah.
It's going to be on Disney tonight or something?
I don't know. I guess. It might only be like purchase Prime or something.
We might do that.
Yeah.
That'd be fun. And you saw Beetlejuice?
I did see Beetlejuice.
You enjoy it? It was good?
I thought it was okay. It was good to see him back. And
I like to see it. Tim Burton's one of my favorites.
Yeah. So. It's not as good as the first one.
Yeah. Many things are.
Seeing them back was great. And Michael Keaton, I mean, he's still got it. I mean, he's every scene he's in is absolutely stellar.
All right. Well, that's been the podcast. That's fresh film, maybe?
Yeah, maybe
fresh
so.
film. We have this is we'll figure out our TBA TBD.
Yeah, we can just go in after the
name.
fact and just literally like shittily put it right on top where it's like,
yeah.
we're called the blah 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 podcast. You know.
And this is was Rob Copeland.
That's me.
Jimmy Womack.
Peace.
Good night. Good morning.
Good afternoon.